It is Saturday morning and you could be doing so many other things, but you chose to be here, almost close to 500 people that are here. That in itself shows that you have committed yourself to learning something new and are open to the continuous improvement that is expected from all of us to grow consistently in our life. So thank you again for doing that. Let me just quickly give you a background of where I come from. And generally, I don't like to go into too much details of my background, but in this session today, I wanted to spend just a few minutes talking about my personal background, just like how Mr. Raghu shared with all of you. So I've spent about 20 years in management consulting, working for several Fortune 500 companies, and started off with a very brief career in India, and then moved very quickly to Singapore.
Mohan, can you come closer to the mic? I think it's.
Is that better?
Yes.
Right. And or how about if you tell me if when I put on my
Yeah, we can hear fine.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Is this better?
No, when you're going a little far, it's kind of coming out as you're little too far. Yeah, I think this is better.
All right. Okay. So I'll try to maintain this.
No, previously it was better. Now it's.
Right. How about now? Is this better?
It's good. It's
Very
good
good
now.
Very good.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. So I've spent about close to 2 decades around the globe as a management consultant. I have a MBA in technology management, and I worked for GE for a long time through my consulting company, management consulting company at the time, Capgemini. So I have a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I used to be the chapter president of PMI North America, and I trained probably close to 6,000 people in getting their PMP certification. And I have my, certificates in software quality assurance, information security. I've been an ISO lead auditor, CMM assessor. And then, if you look up my LinkedIn page, you'll see a long list of all the certifications that I've had in my corporate career. And since learning, sharing, teaching, and helping people grow has always been has been a passion, has been something that's very, very close to my heart. So I worked very closely with the companies that I worked with or for the leadership team to develop a lot of leadership development programs. I have also taught at the university with their executive MBA programs. In 2015, I had this very strong calling of looking back at my life as a child growing up in a lot of poverty in India. What was the self-image I was growing up with, and what was my self-talk? What was my self-belief about where am I going to end up in life? And that was very, very poor. It was not, it wasn't very comfortable. It was very difficult childhood. I went through that phase of self-doubt in poverty for a very long time, and until I encountered a great master, a great teacher early on in my life, who just changed my worldview. And ever since, I have looked at life and the purpose of life and the potential and possibilities of my life radically differently than what I was, assuming before I met my master. And ever since, I've experienced abundance and prosperity and success and peace in every aspect of my life. So in 2015-16, and after I reached a stage where I felt like, there is abundance of everything, what do I want to spend the rest of my living years and create some meaningful sense of purpose for myself? And that's when I thought, if I was the kid growing up in a lot of poverty in India, born in the mid-70s, my life transformed because my teacher gave me a new perspective. there could be millions of kids around the world who are probably in the same situation. They still have the same potential that I had, but I never realized it until my master showed me the path. And that was the calling I followed. So in 2015-16, I quit my corporate North American job. I used to make close to 400K a year. And then I started this organization called WAVE Global. WAVE is an acronym, Wisdom Anchored Values Education. And I wanted to be a channel to transfer the same understanding, same insight, the same understanding of what the true potential could be if you help it realize. So I started working with youth, and I did a series of workshops, and that's how I met Kishore Garu in Houston, who organized this workshop for about 150 kids in the summer of 2019. And that's been my life mission ever since, to transfer the clarity of who we are and help youth realize their highest potential. I wrote a book which is kind of a crystallization of many things I applied in my life growing up, and that goes as part of the workshop that I teach the kids. And I also thought, since I grew up in India, there will be millions of kids back home in India that could get a start the same way I got a start in my early years. So I moved back to India, and I worked for a couple of years in some government schools doing my pilots and transferring everything that I learned over the years. So now I split my time living a few months in India, working with schools, working with kids, and then I spend some of my time in the US because I still have my life, my houses, my friends, all the things that I did in the US when I lived there for about 14 years. So all of those things. So there is a reason why I'm sharing all this background, because I'm going to piggy ride on some of these things that I mentioned here as we move on into the session. All right. So based on the last 5 minutes, the pace at which I spoke, the volume of my voice, and how far or how close I am from the camera, is this the right pace, the right volume, and the right distance from camera? Is this okay? So that
Yes.
I can cut.
Yes.
This? All right. All right. Great. Thank you. All right. Okay. So Raghu Garu has already talked a little bit about this. We will be by default muting all the participants because of the high number. We want you to participate actively. If you have questions, which I strongly encourage, either hold off to those until we go through the session and ask towards the end, or else we will send you a form towards the end that you can use to send your questions, and we'll answer them as we receive them. My humble request to all of you is this, you have already committed 2 hours, 2 precious hours of your Saturday morning. So give your 100%. Please do not multitask during this session. I know it's sometimes late breakfast on a Saturday morning. There'll be kids running around. There will be other things that typically happens on a weekend. But my request would be to avoid multitasking and be in a secluded place with least or zero distractions. And participate till the end. You may see a lot of things in the beginning where you may feel, oh, I already know this, but please participate till the end to get the full value of today's session. And my experience learning and teaching over the last 2 decades has been, unless anything is real, it doesn't stick. It doesn't make any sense. So what is real? Real is relevant, experiential, applicable, and life transformational. So this is a framework I built, and every single training I do, I try my best to make it real for you, right? So this session, if you want this to be real, participate till the end. And let's now look at how do you achieve the goals. And today I'm going to be talking a lot about several different concepts which are deep concepts in itself and deserve their own separate session. But I am going to attempt to bring a lot of concepts from the neurological point of view, physiological point of view, spiritual point of view, financial point of view. So it's going to be a lot of a combination of laws of nature and the science of thinking. So it's going to be, it may seem like, it's a little scattered here and there, but it's all going to come together towards the end. And so please be very open and, listen and participate till the end. Okay. So let me set the context for why all these wisdom talks and the trainings and all these things generally don't work. Right now, the first thing I want to acknowledge is that close to 500 people that are on this call are all either RMDs, MDs, or business partners, or people who have realized at some point in their life that there are better ways to do things, and then there are alternative ways to look at life and its goals and its meaning and purpose and the way we can achieve our goals. So already I'm convinced that you are all coachable. You all are at a stage in life where you believe that there is always a better way to do things, and that's why you're part of the HGI group and you are where you are. So that gives me an assurance that you are coachable. At the same time, I also sometimes fear that among the 500 people that are participating, you all are at a intellectual stage in your life. There may be engineers, technical technology geeks, solution architects, business domain experts, doctors, and whatnot. The highest professional level possible, with millions of people dream of, and most of you are already probably there. So sometimes the credentials, the credibility, the accolades, successes of our past also makes us too much analytical, and sometimes the know-it-all attitude seeps in. And I've seen enough. I've seen cultures, I've seen corporations, I've been around the world. I have come where I am because of all my global exposure and experience. I don't think there's anything more I could see in the corporate world or social life than what I've already seen. So all these things sometimes shuts us down from being open and flexible to anything new, because we perceive we've already seen it, right? So my humble request to all of you is just be open for today's session. So the reason why these wisdom talks and trainings don't work for most people, we receive a lot of these inspirational quotes, motivational videos every single day, right? Even HGI leaders talk about their life experiences. We have had series of inspirational quotes coming from the WhatsApp University, the Facebook College, and the Instagram School, right? Every day we get some of these things. Why do you think they don't stick? Why do you think they don't really bring about the kind of results that people expect others who read that particular inspirational quote to get out of life, right? So 90% of us know intellectually 90% of what's said in that quote or that inspirational motivational video. 90% of us know intellectually 90% of what we read or see in any inspirational quote or a motivational video. And yet nothing really changes, or not much difference is made in our life after we read that inspirational quote or watch that video, because I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why it doesn't work. Number 1 reason, we hear things, we see things, we read things, but we don't contemplate on what is it that it is actually trying to say. That quote, video, we enjoy it. We love it. We see it intellectually. We understand 90% of it. And yet we don't get the desired results because we do not contemplate on what it is saying. Number 1 reason why any training and wisdom does not stick is we don't contemplate. So let me give you a quick example. What does contemplation mean? So you see a motivational quote, something like a Sufi saint Rumi said, what you are seeking is seeking you. All of us probably have seen this. You become what you focus on, and so forth. So we see that, we like it, and it's radically different. It's a different perspective. We feel all of that. But have we ever contemplated what is this you that is being talked about in this one single sentence? What is this process of seeking that this sentence is talking about? Who is seeking what? So this aspect of going deeper in trying to find meaning, real meaning that is meaningful, that can transform and change your perspective and bring about a radical shift in the way you see things. That process is called contemplation. Now, we do not contemplate. Most of us do not contemplate. And that is why the remaining 10%, which is missing in that in terms of our understanding, I'm calling it the missing link. The missing link of truly understanding what an inspirational quote or a motivational video is saying, that missing link is never found. It doesn't come to the surface. And that missing link is where the actual learning is, the actual wisdom is. So unless you contemplate, you won't reach to that missing link, the remaining 10%. And that's why you can read 1,000 quotes, but unless you contemplate and find the missing link in each of those quotes, it's not going to work, right? And even if you contemplate and you find the missing link, there is still another reason why it won't work, is because nobody teaches us how to apply or integrate that missing link that you just found out, integrate in a way that it becomes a part of our life. It becomes a daily ritual. It becomes the way of life, the way we look at life, we look at things and change our perspective and our worldview. So these three things are the missing things because of which wisdom doesn't stick. We don't contemplate, we don't identify the missing link, we don't find a way to integrate that in our daily life and live our life with that wisdom or inspirational quote that we read, right? So my request to all of you today is let us not make this training one of those trainings that you go to and you listen to a lot of those things, you feel good about it, and then nothing comes out of it. So my intent, when I came to this session, my intent is for this to become real for you to understand and contemplate what I'm about to share with you, find the missing link. And I'm also going to teach today a method to integrate this in your life so it sticks with you and stays with you, right? So please be 100% present, which means physically you're here, please be present mentally as well. There is this invisible parrot that you all are carrying on your head, on your shoulder, that's constantly talking and chatting and chattering and telling it to you, oh yeah, I've heard this, I know where he's going with this, yeah, that seems logical, oh, that didn't make sense, oh, why is he talking about that? He doesn't seem to be old enough to give wisdom to us, who have been in this country for 20 years. I wonder where he's going with this. He doesn't have a saffron robe. He doesn't have a shaved head. He doesn't have a long beard. What qualifies him to tell me all these? Chatting, constant chatting, constant chatting. So don't, please, next 2 hours, you want to judge it after the end of this session. If I have wasted your time at the end of the session, you feel like that, I'll apologize. But please give me your undivided, unfiltered, non-biased attention for the next 2 hours. So 100% listening is what I'm asking for. Physical presence, mental presence, 100% listening, which means listening without judgment. Most often we'll listen to find faults or judge or state your counter perspective or opinion. We never listen to understand. Most of us, I'm not talking about you or anyone specifically, but most of us will listen not to understand, will listen to judge or find a perspective, counter perspective than what's being presented. So please don't do that. Please listen to understand. And I'm requesting 100% commitment, right? You have shown your commitment by being here on Saturday morning. There's a difference between 100% interested and 100% committed. When you're interested, you get started, But then the same kind of excitement you show in starting anything when you're interested, it fizzles out the same way, because if you're interested, then you may find reasons, because then you're driven by will do what is convenient. When you're interested, will do what is convenient. And when that happens, you will find ways to not do it, because then there will be things along the way that will not be convenient. You will blame your past situation or your circumstances or some or the other excuses. So that's like, if you're interested, you'll find to do things only that are convenient. But if you're committed, then you will find ways to do what it takes to be successful. So 100% interested in learning and understanding what I'm about to share, versus 100% committed to truly understanding what I'm about to share. So 100% commitment is what I'm requesting, right? And this can be a life transformational experience if you give me your 100% undivided attention. And if you want to get the best, give the best, right? So please, let's follow this. The reason why I shared my credentials earlier is because I wanted you to know that I've been in the corporate world around the globe, with my Lean Six Sigma, my PMI background, the certifications, my MBA, and all of those things. So I used to teach all these frameworks and the leadership principles about how an organization should have a mission, which defines their purpose, their vision, the strategy, the goals, processes, plans, tasks and activities, systems, and all those things. I've also taught at a university level, how to set goals, SMART goals, which are very specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, all the processes of project management, the Six Sigma DMI process. We all also have the 6 steps, 8 filters process in the leadership format system. I am not going to talk about any of these today. So let me put you at ease. If you think, I already know Six Sigma principles, project management principles, goal setting frameworks, what is he going to teach us new? So I'm not going to talk about any of these, because most of you probably know it. Or the reason why I show this now is to tell you that although these are all great frameworks, I have used it, I've taught it, and they've yielded great results, even when I did it for billion-dollar companies or my own personal life. Above all of these, there is something more that I have learned from my teacher early on, I've implemented in my life, and I have seen nothing but experiential abundance and success in everything I did. So today, I'm going to share that framework, that principle, that insight, which is above and beyond and far more valuable than anything that you're seeing on my screen. So I just wanted to start off telling you that, if you think this is what I'm going to talk about, no, you already have a great repository of processes and templates and guidelines and methodology and all of those things that you need to be successful through LFS. You have a business opportunity presentation, you have a great financial concepts presentation, you have financial needs analysis template, you have the business opportunity plan, and all of those things. So I'm not talking about how to use those, what each of those skills mean, what do you do, nothing of those, right? So what am I going to teach? So in my 20 years of experience learning and teaching, this is the model I found the most effective, right? I call it a pyramid learning model. You see the 3 vertices of the pyramid. At the top is an insight/teaching, right? So we all grow up listening to a lot of these insights and teachings about how living in the present moment is the right way to live, and forgiveness is the best way to let go and move on, and so forth. So there are a lot of these insights and teachings that we hear all our lives, but we never truly experientially understand what it really means, right? I mean, at a word level, at an intellectual level, we hear a lot of these things, but do I have a personal experience with that insight? Probably not, because of missing element of contemplation and digging deeper into it. So if you don't have an experiential understanding, then you don't have the conviction about that particular insight, right? So my learning models, everything that I do in my trainings is always going to be based on this pyramid learning model, right? So today I am going to apply this pyramid learning model to what we are going to learn about goals, right? So here is the insight, here is the teaching. Everything. So before I go there, let me take a pause and just check with everyone. Is everyone doing okay with my pace, volume, everything that I've said?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Yes, you are good.
Very good.
Good. All right, good. Thank you. So here is the insight, the teaching. So the first thing is that insight, everything in the world is created twice. Everything in the world is created twice. First in the mental realm and then in the physical realm. This is the insight, the teaching, right? Everything in the world is created first in the mental realm and then in the physical realm. Now, you've heard this. What is next? What is required is you have to experientially understand how this is true, whether this is true. Does it really work, or is it just another quote? It is not. This one here is one of the 7 most powerful laws of nature or thought rules. Whether we know it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we believe it or not, does not change the fact that this is true, because it is, right? So the thought rule, the law of nature says everything in the world is created twice, first in the mental realm and then in the physical realm. Okay, so unless you have a very, very clear vision in your head, in your mind's eye, about achieving something in your life, it will not manifest. It will not manifest. Anything that is manifested in the physical realm has always started first in the mental realm, right? And the other way around, then you may ask, oh, you know what? I think about 500 things in a day. I don't see all of them manifesting in reality. Although I see them in my mind's eye, I have vision of those things, but I still don't see them. If what you are saying, this principle is true, then why don't I see all those 500 things I visualize in my head, not realizing, not manifesting in the real world? So there is a deeper, subtle insight there as well, which we're going to learn today, right? So I just wanted to quickly show you a small video. Let's first look at that, and then we'll talk from there on. Okay, so I'm just going to take you to that video now.
What are you afraid of? And you agree.
All right. Can everyone see my screen?
No, we're still seeing your goal and vision.
All right. So let me.
Yeah, listen.
How about now?
Yes, we can see it. And if you go to view options, there is something called use system video, system audio. Go to view options on the top.
All right. So I am there now.
Okay. Do you see something called use system audio or something like that, or computer audio?
Shared computer sound.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me try that. Okay.
What are you afraid of? And do you agree with that comment that you fear? You attract. No, you're not. What are you afraid of? And do you agree? What are you afraid of? And do you agree with that comment that you attract what you fear? You attract. No, you're not just what you fear. You attract what you feel, what you are, what you attract. What's on your mind? Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
the law of physics. I don't know how anybody can disagree with that. Ask any physicist, they'll tell you that it's true.
David Mamet wrote a line in the play Edmund, every fear hides a wish, which I think is close to that.
I still am very insecure in so many ways, but I wish I could give that gift to all my fans. You have the freedom to pull the superstar out of yourself that you were born to be. We are all born superstars.
When things are going good and you visualize these good things happening, you visualize more good things happening, that's easy. What's not easy to do is when things are going bad and you're visualizing the good stuff.
Champion Conor McGregor. Conor, you've been dreaming about this moment. You've been talking about this moment. Honestly, though, does it feel the way you thought it would?
Yeah, it does. It feels beautiful. I dreamt this so much, so clearly, so precisely, and so frequently that it has manifested itself into reality. And that's what I am feeling right now. It's a dream come true.
I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85.
Yeah. And I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better. It made me, at that time, all it really was for me was kind of making me feel better. I would drive home and think, well, I do have these things. They're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there.
Okay. So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and I put it in my wallet and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff, but then just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah. So you visualize yourself. Visualization works if you work hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't just visualize and then, go eat a sandwich.
Right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. It's like it's water. It wants to move and go around stuff, So for me, I want to represent possibilities. I want to represent the idea that you really can make what you want.
There are many ways to get the things that we want for ourselves in our lives. But basically, it all begins with how we choose to think. As you think, so shall you be. 7 little words that I think are perhaps the most important things that we can learn and master in our lives. This whole proverb notion that I become what I think about all day long. And once you know that what you think about is what expands, you start getting real careful about what you think about. You don't allow your thoughts to be on anything that you don't want, or that you wouldn't want to have manifest or show up for you in your life.
Like attracts like. You have to understand, you are a magnet. Whatever you are, that's what you draw to you. If you're negative, you're going to draw negativity. You're positive, you draw positive. You're a kind person, more people are kind to you. So you're like a magnet, and you got to understand something about like attracts like. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. This is so true. Joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. Laugh every chance you get. Just bust out laughing, even if it ain't funny. Just laugh.
All right, so let me.
Mohan, we are seeing your Zoom screen where it says Zoom on the screen.
Okay, so let me change that.
Now we are seeing your PowerPoint, the first page.
All right, so you can see my presentation though, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. So we are back now. So We just saw this 4-minute video of some of these great, successful people from across different professions, right? Dr. Wayne Dyer, Denzel Washington, and then there was Will Smith and Jim Carrey, and so many other successful people that we have known for many, many decades. So every one of them talked about, having that clear vision, emotional, the visualization and all of that. Now you have access to this video on YouTube, and then there are hundreds of such videos. I'm sure many of you have seen maybe exactly the same video or videos that are very similar to this. But even if you have seen it 10 times, 20 times, has anything changed for us? Probably not, right? For some, it may have. For a few others, it did not, because of those 3 missing elements that I talked about earlier. Contemplation, identifying the missing link, and finding a way to integrate what exactly are they trying to say when they say visualization works, right? This principle that I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to bring all the 3 elements together. So this here is the insight that everything in the world is created twice. We are going to experientially understand what this principle is by the 7 rules and 10 tools of imagination that I'm going to teach today. And with that, you will have a clarity and a conviction about how to set goals. What do I need to do with those goals? What do I need to ensure that those goals are accomplished so that this pyramid is in a self-perpetuating model? Once you learn an insight, you have an experiential understanding of that gives you the clarity and conviction, and your clarity and conviction makes you believe that insight even more. And that's how this is set in motion, where your belief, your action, your experience, your understanding just propels itself on an ongoing basis. Now that is where results begin to happen, and they become a part of your life. They're integrated into your life. They have set themselves in a motion of perpetual experiential understanding. So that's what we're going to do in everything that I teach, whether it is about human mind, self-confidence, self-image, forgiveness, all the 20 different things that we talk about. This is the model. And if this model works, then today's session will be a good testament for you as well to believe in this model. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing, right, I talked about, most of us may come back and say, if this principle that you talked about, that everything in the world is created twice, first in the mental realm and then in the physical realm, then why is it that I think of so many things and they don't realize, they don't manifest? So these are the missing elements in that visualization, or the expectations or the desires or the dreams that we have. The why of your goals is very, very important. What is your intention? What is your intention behind that goal? Why do you want to achieve that goal? The why of your goal gives it the power to realize. The greater good of mankind, or an individual or a family or a community, is part, if greater good is a part of your intention, then it gives it a very strong why, the reason, right? Why that goal needs to be realized or fulfilled or manifested. So the why of your goals is extremely important. And let me connect that to the next sentence that you see written. Conscious thinking and passionate feeling are the 2 enablers that change what you see in the mental realm into reality in the physical realm. That transformation of what you're thinking in the mental realm into the reality in physical realm is possible only if in that vision you have conscious thinking and passionate feeling, which comes from what your intention is. Okay. Now, what is conscious thinking and what is passionate feeling? Conscious thinking is thinking with awareness, 100% attention. Now, what generally happens with most of us is our mind, human mind, churns 70,000 thoughts per day average from morning to until we go into deep sleep. So we are never in that state of mind where our attention is not scattered. We are always out there somewhere through our thoughts. And because we are always scattered in the mind, because we are always continuously churning those thoughts, our thinking is also scattered. It is not conscious. It is not mindful. It is not done with awareness. So what we will be doing in the next few minutes is going to run through a small exercise. We will all do this together so you understand how the human mind works and what prevents us from being in that conscious thinking state, because we are going to need that. We are going to need that understanding when we are learning those 7 tools and 10 rules of imagination. But conscious thinking is extremely important, and the passionate feeling will come when you have a very clear why. So a combination of all these 3 things together is what we are going to use in the exercise that we're going to have further along in the process, so that you can get that experiential understanding which will lead you to that clarity and conviction, right? So just as an example on the screen, this is my personal vision, right? And we're going to go through an exercise where I'll have you also write your personal vision. So this is my personal vision. I want to be stabilized in the experience of self. When I say experience of self, which means deep rooted in the consciousness, deep rooted in the state of 100% pure awareness, beyond all the labels of my riches, my title, my designation, my assets, my prosperity, my fame, my name, and everything else that comes along as labels. Beyond all of that, just the pure bliss of nothingness, devoid of anything, just one body-mind mechanism being used by nature or by consciousness to serve humanity. That is what is called the experience of self. So I want to be stabilized in the experience of self, so that this is my why. This is my what, the first sentence. This is my what. After the comma is the why, so that I can serve humanity by helping them realize their full potential and live life with clarity in thought and conviction in the heart about life's true purpose. Maybe a lot of words, maybe it's mouthful, but this is what, when I sit and pray in my daily early morning meditations, this is what I pray for. I want to be stabilized in the experience of self, myself, so that, let me quickly fix. No. Growing up in my early years, I had this great potential, but I never could have realized that potential if my master, my teacher, can you all hear me?
Yes, Mohan. Yes.
Because I just saw a message on my screen that I have been muted. Okay, tell me if you don't hear me.
I was muted. I muted also, I think.
Okay. All right. So if I had not encountered my master early on in my life, I would have never realized the potential I had. And therefore, I know what it means to help someone realize their full potential by giving them clarity about a law of nature, the principles of life, and how things work, with human mind, body, brain, heart, and how it can transform life in physically, emotionally, socially, financially, and spiritually, right? So I've experienced that abundance of everything. That is what I want to be, an enabler, a channel for others to do so, right? So this is my personal vision. So let's now look at, each of you, please take some time, because we have to identify your goal, right? Your why. And then we will see how we can apply the conscious thinking and passionate feeling to it, right? This is my personal vision. In all aspects of your life, whether it's physical, mental, social, financial, spiritual, whatever is your goal, if you have not written your personal mission statement, I strongly recommend you do that. Don't assume that it is so clear in my head that I always think about it, I always see it, I always I always feel it and all that. It's all great, it's all good, but always write it down, because writing it down does something to your neural network in the brain and the feelings in your heart, right? So writing it down is very important. That's one. Second, we don't want to be the best of everything in every aspect of our life, which means you don't want to be physically fit like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to be in his earlier days. We don't want to be a thinker and a great scientist like Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein. We don't want to be the world's most friendly political leader. We don't all want to be Warren Buffett's, and we don't all want to be Gautam Buddha all at the same time. You cannot have all these 5 people in one person, because then that will take a lot more than what we could easily achieve. I'm not saying it's not possible. Who knows? Warren Buffett deep inside could be a Gautam Buddha with an Einstein's mind. Is still a very popular leader around the world, and he's physically fit even as he's approaching an age of being a century old. So in some cases it may be possible, but I want to give this guideline that pick one primary goal that you really want accomplished, and for all the other areas, stay reasonably, stay reasonable in your goal. That you want to be physically fit to be able to perform your duties, run around, go meet people, travel, this, that, and other. Yes, that physical fitness, the mental clarity, the social harmony, which is great relationships with your friends, community members, people around you, at workplace and everywhere else. So social harmony, financial risk freedom, financial abundance, and then spiritual maturity. So physical vitality, mental clarity, social harmony, financial risk freedom, and spiritual maturity. Among these things, while this being the undercurrent that you want to have, or experience reasonable levels of each of these 5 states of your life, pick one area that you really want to go deep and master it, and keep that as a vision, as a mission, right? Is that clear to everyone, what I just said? Why we need to pick one very dominant or predominant area and work on it as a goal?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's take that and there's a slide here which I probably, let me unhide it. So take a moment and identify a goal for one predominant area that you want in your life, right? It could be any of these 5. Write down that goal in here, and more importantly, write down your why out here. Okay, so if you have a pen and a paper, pencil and paper, please do that. Take a minute or 2. Write down the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't think too much. Don't have to be perfect. Don't have to be grammatically correct. Don't have to have long details. Just intuitively, what comes first to your heart, write down. Pick any of these area of your life and write down. What is your goal in that area and why? Okay, so please do that for a minute, 60 seconds or so. I'm going to talk to you in about 60 seconds. I'm just going to go grab myself a cup of water and be back. But please spend the next 60 to 90 seconds in identifying one of these predominant life goals that you want to use today You're going to use that today and see how what I'm about to teach you now can be applied to that goal. So pick one that is really, really very relevant to you and that you want to use as an insight for you, as a goal for you that will run through that pyramid learning model. All right. All right. So I'm assuming that you all have one predominant goal across from each of these, one of these areas of your life that you have written, and you have a very clear why for it. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this one small activity together, and then we'll kind of move along one step at a time, and we'll see how all of these things come together. All right. So wherever you are sitting, either on the couch or a comfortable chair or on your bed, wherever you are, find a very, very comfortable posture, such that in the next 3 to 4 minutes or 5 minutes at the most, you are not distracted by any discomfort in your body. Find a comfortable posture, sit erect, or rest against the wall or on your couch or wherever you're sitting. Do not lay down on the floor or on the bed, because there is a risk of going into sleep when you do that. So stay with erect spine and find your comfort. And with closed eyes, follow along the instructions that I'm about to tell. Imagine yourself walking on a beautiful beach. It's a beautiful, sandy, pristine beach. Nice, cool breeze, blue ocean, and everything is very pleasant. The weather is great. It's a bright and sunny day. And you see about 50 feet away from the shoreline, you see a small hill, and you feel like going and sitting there. So you now walk towards it. You're sitting on this small hill, looking out into the ocean. So you see the shoreline, you see the ocean waves, kind of an aerial view. And what you're seeing there is on the shore, there is a number 100 written in sand. The number 100 written in sand. It is big enough for you to see it clearly from where you are. A big 100 large font. What's happening next is an ocean wave comes, and then it erases the number written in sand. And as the water recedes back into the ocean, the number now has changed to 99. A few seconds later, another ocean wave comes in, erases that number, and replaces it with one number less. So now you're seeing 98. A few seconds later, another ocean wave comes in, erases the number 98 and replaces it with 97. So do this process in your mind's eye, clearly visualize, see it happen. Do not assume, oh, it's one number less, I'm just going to do the math. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. Clearly visualize this scene where ocean wave is coming, erasing the number, replacing it with one number less as the ocean wave goes back into the ocean. So visualize this clearly in your mind's eye until I tell you to stop. Please do that. If any of you has not understood or is not clear, please ask and make sure that you understood and follow the instructions. It's very simple. Close your eyes and visualize the number on the beach being erased by the wave, and each time the wave goes back, it's one number less. Do that until you hear me say stop. Don't be distracted by the sounds around you. Don't be distracted by any body movements. Beware of the mind's wandering nature. Don't be distracted. Don't be distracted even by my voice, just continue the imagination, the visualization. All the background noises, the distractions will continue to be around you. You cannot stop them, you cannot change them, let them be. You follow the instructions exactly as it was described. Now, what you're seeing is that suddenly the ocean wave has frozen and nothing is moving, nothing is coming to the shoreline. And therefore, the last number you saw on the beach is the number where it stops. It's frozen. Please slowly open your eyes. All right. So my assumption, we have too many people on the webinar. I already see 495. So we have too many people for me to open up and ask questions. So I'm going to just assume that a lot of you saw numbers anywhere ranging from 91 to 0, and sometimes you may have even some of you may have even gone beyond 0 to negative numbers, and everything in between, 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, and so forth, right? So everyone probably visualized it at their own pace. Some visualized the ocean wave coming in really fast, so the numbers were changing really fast. Some visualized the ocean wave coming in really slow motion, right? So the numbers were changing slow for them, right? Nothing wrong in it. It's just the way we process, visuals, the way it suits our brain. Nothing wrong with it. Going fast, going slow, there's nothing right or wrong way of doing it. So I'm just assuming that there was a huge range of numbers. Yeah, I see some numbers, 91, 69, 55, 80, and so forth. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Now here is one thing that happened. My assumption is with 90% of you, if not all 100%, is this. As you were visualizing the numbers, there was a moment, maybe more than once, where your mind wandered off. Your mind went off somewhere. You were not on the beach. You were not counting the numbers. Your mind just wandered off to someplace else, right? Quickly, if you happen to have that experience, say yes on the chat window. I just want to get a quick response. Yeah, see, I told you. Yeah, everything I'm seeing so far on the chat window is yes. Yes. Some of you said, one or two of you said no. Yes, that's fine. Yes, thank you for confirming, because this what we just experienced is the wandering nature of human mind. In the 70,000 thoughts that we get from the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go into deep sleep, human mind churns approximately average 70,000 thoughts. And out of those 70,000 thoughts, only 100, 150, or maximum 200 actions happen from the body. Remaining 69,800 thoughts that we churn in our head are nothing but empty churning that just drifts you away from the present moment. It scatters your attention. It dilutes your awareness. It takes you somewhere out there. You are never not here. That's the nature of the wandering mind. You are never not here. You are always somewhere out there. And that 69,800 thoughts that you churn in your head, they yield nothing. They only waste time. They attract a lot of emotions, mostly negative emotions of fear and anxiety and depression and stress and guilt and hatred and jealousy and insecurity and so forth. Look back. This is not the session. I do a separate session, about 3 hours, 3.5 hour sessions. It's a separate session called Take Charge of Your Mind. So in that session, I go deep into how the mind works and what do we need to control it? How do you come back to the present moment? Tonight, I'm not going to do that, but I still wanted to, we'll organize that session another time. We'll coordinate with Mr. Raghu and Kishore Garu. But tonight, I wanted you to at least spend this 5 to 8 minutes in getting a glimpse of the human mind and how our awareness, our attention is always scattered. And when it is scattered, it is dispersed, it is not here and now, conscious thinking cannot happen. We, in our waking state, are in the beta state of mind. There are 4 states of brain and mind: the beta state, the alpha state, the theta state, and the delta state. From morning to night, what we do in the waking state, walking, talking, moving, driving, eating, sleeping, that's all beta state. Our mind is continuously churning thoughts. It's all scattered all over. We are always 60, 90, 100 seconds ahead. While in the shower, we think about what shirt I'm going to wear. While in the closet, you're thinking about what breakfast I'm going to eat. While eating breakfast, you're thinking about what route I'm going to take to work. And if there's going to be traffic, should I take the tollway? Should I avoid it? Should I wait 20 minutes? Let the peak hour pass. While eating breakfast, you're thinking about traffic. While in the traffic, driving to work, you're thinking about work. And so you're always ahead, always 60, 90, 100, 200,000 or million seconds ahead, always. You're never not here. And that is what is called scattering of thought, scattering of awareness, scattering of attention. That is beta state of mind. What you just experienced, where you at least were able to minimize it for a little bit. The mind still wandered when you were looking at the numbers at the beach, but at least you tried to reach to a point where you were consciously aware that you're just looking at the numbers on the beach. So you reduced your state of awareness from beta to alpha, where the brain cycles churn the thoughts at a lesser frequency than in beta state. Then there is the theta state, and then the delta state, which is the samadhi, as we all know. Gautama Buddha and all the sages of ancient world, even in the Eastern philosophy, the Buddhist monks, the Zens, the rishis, and the sacred priests, and all of those, that when we talk about samadhi, that's the delta state. Right? So for tonight, I wanted you to see the difference between the beta and the alpha state, because we are going to need the alpha state for what we are going to do next. All right. So is everyone with me so far? Please say yes on the chat window if everyone is following along. All right, great. Thank you. I'm going to just periodically check here just to make sure that we are still on the same page and we are following along and seeing where this is going. All right. So here is the missing link. What happens is when we think of a goal, when we read an inspirational quote, when we see a motivational video, when we see our hero in a movie or someone that we look up to, we feel very inspired, we feel very motivated, we feel very energized. There is an adrenaline rush that we feel. When you go watch a movie, and in that movie you see a superhero with a lot of muscles and saving the world and doing the right thing, always out there to help others. And then it's accompanied with great music, a lot of good scenes and all that. It just energizes your brain and your mind, and that experience that you carry with you in the movie theater and outside of it, or when you're watching a program or an inspirational quote or a motivational video, that energy, that is the adrenaline rush. We all feel that. And then we decide, you know what, I'm also going to get up early in the morning tomorrow and start working out and build a nice physique and read something and do some kind of breathing exercise like pranayama. And I'm also going to do something with my life and become like my idol, become like my superhero, and so forth. So you feel very motivated, and that adrenaline rush gives you that enthusiasm and excitement. Now, we all know how it works with New Year resolutions, right? We all make those New Year resolutions, and we sincerely mean it. We really want to do it, but along the way, something happens, and then we don't see that consistency. We don't see that action. Now, here is a subtle link. Here is the neurological, the physiological, the biological component, along with being aware, along with believing in the process, the law of nature of visualization, and everything is born twice in the world, and the aware state. Along with that, we also need to understand the neurological, physiological, biological processes of human body and brain. The reason why, in spite of that excitement and enthusiasm, things don't get started is because the one missing element which makes you get up and push you into taking action is missing in that. So adrenaline is released. The chemical in the brain is released. That's why you feel that sudden burst of excitement and enthusiasm. But that in itself is not enough. You need one or two more chemicals that makes you get up and get going and get into action. And that is dopamine. Some of you are saying that you can't hear me. Can you hear me all?
We can't hear. It's a problem. It's their computer problem.
All right, okay. So the reason why, I'm just going to close the chat window. The reason why we don't do that is because the next step is missing, which is after the adrenaline, the release of dopamine and serotonin. Adrenaline is the excitement and the enthusiasm. Dopamine is the chemical in the brain. Now, please don't go and look it up right now on Google. You are free to do that after the session ends. I request all of you to give me your 100% undivided attention. I'm not going into the details of neurology or physiology or brain science, but just enough that is relevant to our session. So if you want to look it up, you do that at the end of the session later. But for now, please listen. Dopamine and serotonin are the chemicals that are absolutely necessary to be released along with the initial energy and excitement and enthusiasm for the body to get up and get going and take action so that creation can happen. Now that is the missing element. That is the missing element. We feel excited, but we don't release the dopamine, which makes the body get up and move and take action, because unless you take action, results won't come. The law of creation is the thought alone is not going to be enough. The thought has to be accompanied with conscious actions and passionate feeling, right? Now, this is where a combination of the intent of why you want something, the conscious thinking, which is the unscattered awareness and attention when the mind is not running in those 70,000 thoughts, but it is right here, right now, and the passionate feeling which comes from the why. So all of this, the why, the conscious thinking, the passionate feeling, along with that, the release of dopamine and serotonin together is going to give that push. Right? That is the missing link. The question then that arises then is, how do I release dopamine? How do I release serotonin? I naturally get the adrenaline rush, but how do I release the dopamine and serotonin to go to that next step and make the body take action so creation can happen? This is the missing link in the understanding of power of visualization or the law of attraction. We have heard Denzel Washington, Jim Carrey, and Will Smith and Dr. Wayne Dyer and all others talk about visualization. Rhonda Bynes talks about law of attraction. But what exactly it is, what happens neurologically, physiologically, spiritually in us that brings that result? That is what I'm going to teach next. How do you then release serotonin, dopamine, and how do you make it work? All right. So these are the 7 rules of imagination. I'm going to walk you through each one of these. You're going to do it together, understand first, do it together, apply it to your goal. So here is how we are doing it. We learned that everything in the world is created twice, first in the mental realm, and then it will manifest in the physical realm. If you have conscious thinking, the why is clear, and then you have the passionate feeling. Right? If you want to help millions of people improve their financial health so that they can feel financially risk-free and live a life of abundance and assurance and follow their heart's calling to help as many people in the communities around the world, then if that's your why, that's what you want to do. And along the way, the money that comes in, it's bonus. It's a derivative, it's a secondary natural outcome. But if your intent, if your why is that you want to really do this for the greater good of the community, the more impersonal you are, the more greater good you want to achieve, then nature always will support it. That's the nature of nature. That's the law of universal mentalism. I'm going to talk about it. So why should be clear, conscious thinking should be there, passionate feeling comes with the why. And now we'll see how to use the law of imagination, visualization, emotionalization to achieve that. All right. So here are the 7 rules of imagination. So first, number 1 is you have to have, so think of a farmer who has a piece of land, and his vision is to sow some seeds and grow a crop so that he can feed himself, feed his family, and feed people around the world and provide them with the supplies of food grains. So the farmer, he has this ground upon which he knows the possibility of turning a seed into a crop exists, right? So first you need a ground. That ground has to be a fertile ground. Even if the farmer has been farming for years and he knows everything about farming, unless the ground is fertile, it's not going to work. So the ground, the presence of ground, and the ground being fertile is the next requirement. You need to have seeds to sow. Then you're going to water it, you're going to provide sunlight, you're going to add some fertilizer to it, and then you're going to trust nature to support the efforts, because the vision is very clear. The vision is very impersonal. The vision is to grow food, which is the basic, one of the three basic human needs, the primal needs of human beings. So this is how the farmer's attitude or way of life is. Now we are going to use the same principle and apply it to whatever goal you have just decided for yourself. So you have to have the knowledge, the ground upon which you're going to see the goals being set and realized. That knowledge is, that insight is, everything in the world is created twice. First in the mental realm, then in the physical realm. And for that, conscious thinking, passionate feeling, which comes from the why, that is necessary. So this number one thing in the 7 rules of imagination is the knowledge that you need, which is the ground upon which you're going to make it fertile and sow the seed. So the next thing is you have to have that fertile ground, which means the alpha state, unscattered, undivided, non-diluted awareness, attention, upon which you're going to visualize the end result of how you would feel, what you are seeing in your mind's eye when that goal is realized. When that goal is realized. I'll tell you how I visualize it. In my personal vision, this is my personal vision. I want to be stabilized in the experience of self, so I can serve humanity by helping them realize their full potential and live life with clarity in thoughts and conviction in heart about life's true purpose. So the way I imagine this is, I am standing out there in a large football stadium filled with people, and all I'm doing is sharing my life insights and what helped me and how I applied with clarity, with conviction, and the results it brought into my life, the contentment, the peace, the joy, the happiness, the sense of purpose, abundance, prosperity, good health, social harmony, everything that I wished for is realized. I visualize myself sharing all that with hundreds of thousands of people across the world. So that's my visual, that's my visualization. I'm there, right there. That's the end result that I picture in my mind's eye. Now, if your vision is to help 1 million families attain financial risk freedom, visualize every morning you are receiving thank you messages, right? You are being looked upon as someone that truly helped transform their lives. Look at yourself as someone that's out there on a mission, always helping others with helping them understand their current financial health, helping them improve it, protecting it, managing it, growing it, so that they, their families, their loved ones, and the communities around them, they all experience the same financial risk freedom, and they are experiencing abundance. Whatever that goal may be, if you have a goal to improve physical vitality, social harmony, improving relationships, mental clarity, whatever it may be, your goal is your goal, you know it very well. So visualize the end state extremely clearly in your mindset. That is where you're sowing the seed. Like a farmer first on the ground makes it fertile and then sows the seed. That end result in mind is the seed that you're sowing now. Have that burning desire. The watering on the plant, on the seed, is the continuous watering of that seed as much as is required. This comes from the why. You must have a burning desire. You have to water your imagination every day and remind yourself why you need this. Why are you trying to see that end result? What is it that you want to achieve through this end result? See that very clearly. That is called watering the seed every day. You have to have purity of mind, which is like the sunlight that the farmer provides, or even when you grow plants in your patio, backyard, in your home garden, sunlight is extremely important. So the sunlight is purity of mind. Do it with an impersonal purpose. Become a channel, help others, pray for others. Greater good of mankind, Bahujan Hitai. The Vedic philosophy talks about it, Eastern philosophy talks about it, Western mythological scriptures talk about it. Impersonal vision, greater good. Remember this, whatever you become a channel for will increase multifold in your life. You become a channel for someone to be rich, richness will flow through you 10 times more. You become a channel for someone to be healthy, health will flow through you 10 times more. Right? So whatever you become a channel for will flow in abundance through you first, 10 times more. So the purity of mind, giving enough sunlight to the seed, to the plant, to the sapling for it to grow. That's the 5th rule of imagination. The 6th one, now here is where everything is going to come together. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Faith, that is putting the fertilizer to protect it from being eaten away by the weeds or the insects or the pests around. Show faith in action by feeling how you would feel when the end result is achieved. So imagine that moment, that day. Go put yourself into the future and imagine that moment where the dream is realized. Oh my God, how do you feel? Great excitement, great energy, great happiness, contentment, fulfillment, sense of purpose being experienced, millions of thank you messages, that sense of gratitude. Visualize all of that so clearly and feel right now as if that has been realized, that has happened already, and see how you feel. That process, act as if it is done. Put faith in it so much that as if it is done. Do it consciously, do it passionately. Remember your why. Have that purity of mind, have that consistency. Put all of that energy into visualizing that as if it has happened. That will release dopamine, that will release serotonin, and you won't sit idle. If you have to make an appointment, go talk to someone, you will get up, get going. It doesn't matter how hot it is outside. Right now, please don't do that because of lockdown, but you get the idea, right? That is the missing link. Unless you put faith in action, which means feel exactly how you would feel when the end result is achieved, dopamine is not released, the chemical in your brain, dopamine, serotonin is not released, and therefore you won't get up and you won't take action. That's the missing link. You will feel very excited, enthusiastic, energized. You listen to beautiful quotes from great leaders, even our own leaders in HGI, but then sometimes we don't take action because even if you want to, we don't, because dopamine and serotonin are not released, which means your body is not going to get up and move, take action. If you don't take action, nothing gets created. That's the missing link. So put faith in action, act as if it's already achieved, feel how you would feel, then feel it now, get up, get going, and move towards realizing that goal, whatever impersonal goal that you have written down with a passion, with a conscious thinking. Do not let your mind churn hundreds of thoughts. Oh, I don't know if I go now. I feel energized. I want to go out there. I don't know if that person will be available. I don't know if I'll be able to make a clear proposition. I'll be able to show value. Will they listen to me without judgment? That's scattering. That is all scattering. The mind churning hundreds of those thoughts. Ignore all of that. Conscious thinking is undivided, unwavered, undiluted, unscattered, undispersed thought process. Stay in that moment, alpha state. Let the dopamine do its work. Put faith in action. Do that with impersonal vision, purity of mind, trust and belief in the why of what you're doing. And then finally, you must believe in your heart. You must believe that everything that is happening in your life, where you are right now, is exactly where nature wants you to be. Everything that's happening with you is not happening with you, right? It is happening for you. Remember this. Remember that nature is doing everything in your life exactly what needs to happen in your life right now. Not sooner, not later. You've had many years of your life doing many different things. You are where you are today because this is what nature, universe wants you. This is nature's best plan. The belief that you are in the right place, doing the right thing for the right purpose, living the right sense of presence and purpose in your life. So these 7 rules of imagination, many of this are being talked about in the law of attraction, in what you hear people like Jim Carrey and then Denzel Washington and everyone else talk about. You know, Jim Carrey wrote that check to himself in 1995, and 3 or 5 years later, he didn't even know at the time that he's going to get the Dumb and Dumber movie and he's going to get $10 million for that movie. But he had that feeling, he had that vision in his mental realm, and he worked towards it. And so many people, but we watch all those videos, we see those things, but we never understand what exactly happened there. So here is my insight. Unless you know exactly how the law of nature or the thought of rule of thought rule works, this won't work. So this is the blueprint. This is the blueprint. Believe that everything is created twice, which is the first rule. Make that ground upon which you are going to sow this knowledge fertile. So go into the alpha state, do that alpha meditation of visualizing the numbers every day for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, without letting your mind wander away. Put that feeling in seeing the end result. Water your plant, water your seed, the burning desire. Remember why you are doing it. Do it with purity of mind. Show that faith in action, so that this number 6 step is very, very important, because dopamine and serotonin not releasing are the reasons why you don't take action. Even after you're convinced, you're energized, you're excited, you're enthusiastic, you have the enthusiasm, you are not releasing dopamine and serotonin through this process of active visualization, active emotionalization, active imagination. You're programming your subconscious mind by doing this. And here is the fact, the scientific fact: subconscious mind cannot, and therefore does not, differentiate between imaginary and real. So whatever you imagine, it tries to attract that in your life in reality. That's the nature of our subconscious mind. So by doing this, you're actually programming your subconscious mind, which then changes in the invisible. It changes frequencies of things around you. You never know. If your why is strong, if your imagination is strong, someone else's thoughts will also change. They will welcome you. They will welcome you. They will make way for you to come and show the value you want to show to them. Universe changes its frequencies if you feed the proper order to the universe, if you pray to the universe with the right why. So therefore, program your subconscious mind, because it does not know the difference between real and imaginary. So whatever you imagine, it will attract that in your life in reality. That's a very scientific neurological process that works if you work hard and make it work with belief, right? And there's something called neuroplasticity, neuroelasticity. If your brain is going to tell you, oh, this seems to be a very difficult task, I don't think it's going to work, it's difficult, it's uphill, do not listen to it, right? If you decide on a goal that I want to walk 10,000 steps from tomorrow, that's an enormous goal to take on from where you are today, 500 steps a day to 10,000. Don't do that. Just say I'm going to walk 100 steps, which is easy. When you feel that you can do it, get up right away and do it the moment you get that thought. So what you do at that time is you change the neural network, the neural path that is already created in your brain, which makes you believe you cannot do 10,000 steps. You cannot go talk to 10 people. You cannot make a presentation to 100 people. Don't do any of those. But if you think you can walk 100 steps, get up right then and do it, because then that changes the neuroplasticity, that old programming in your brain, old conditioning in your brain is broken, you take that 100 steps, then you realize, oh, 100 steps was easy. And if you can continue beyond 100, do it. If you want to stop, stop there. But at least you have broken the past conditioning of your brain, which always used to resist that it cannot be done. So neuroplasticity, neuroelasticity is that you can change the brain neural pathways in your brain to resist old conditioning from presenting itself and create new conditioning. And gradually you are changing the new, replacing the old with the new neural pathways. That's neuroplasticity, neuroelasticity. All of that is possible with active imagination in the alpha state with purity of mind by release of dopamine and serotonin, belief in the intent of why you're doing it, okay? So while you're applying these 7 rules of imagination, also remember these 10 tools. Imagine the end result very, very clearly, right? Whatever it may be, smooth career, lifetime recurring income of X dollars per month, or out there in the stadium talking to 100,000 people, or always staying muscular and healthy and physically fit and socially extremely popular because of social, whatever it may be. Imagine it very, very clearly. The background of the desired outcomes must be very clear, which means the way I do it is I see that visual in my mind, and I always see, I'm in Tokyo in December of 2020. So in their background, somewhere there is a calendar, something that shows me a date, right? So include that as part of your visualization, some kind of timeline. I feel like, okay, I'm going to be in Alberta, Canada in August of 2020, talking to 500 people. So out there in some kind of an auditorium or conference room or whatever it may be, visualize as part of your imagination a calendar, a date, so that it becomes very clear to your subconscious mind that you want to achieve that goal by that date, if not sooner, but no later than that date. So imagine very clearly the background, how the auditorium is going to be, how the people are going to be, what kind of setting will it be, So visualize it, make it very, very clear. No confusing order, no contrasting order. First you give an order to the subconscious mind and then later say, oh, maybe, maybe I was too unrealistic. That was too unreasonable. Let me change it. Don't do that. Begin with a reasonable, rational expectation, goal, and stick to it with belief. Use common sense, right? So number 2 is imagine the background very clearly. Imagine with details. When is it going to happen? How and where and all those things. Feel the happiness now. Every time you do it, feel it now. That's when the serotonin, dopamine is going to get released. Always, always, always do this. Act as if it's already done. You are just now waiting to see it manifest. It's already done. It's done. It's already done. You're just waiting. That's how it should be. Feel the happiness as if it's already done. You're just now kind of curious. Okay, it's already done. I'm just now navigating the path every day to see how it is done. It's already done, but I'm just navigating through my daily routine, meeting people, doing some meetings, talking to people. And finally, someday soon, according to my visualization, I will see it manifest, but it's already done. Believe that. Believe that. Don't put any negative thoughts. Do not let your mind churn. Do not let your brain's past conditioning discourage you from getting started. Do not share this with criticizers or toxic people. They will always try to pull you down. The world is full of people who have never broken out of their past programming and shell, and therefore they will also make you believe this is all just talk, right? Nothing happens. Don't follow this. You're wasting time. You're wasting others' time. They have never explored any better in their life, and they will also discourage you. So do not share your vision with criticizers or toxic people. Don't expect anything from channels. This is extremely important. Very, very, very important. Like I said, there are many principles that were going to be part of my session tonight. And I didn't want this number 7 in itself is a 2-hour session that I do. But what I want you to walk away from here on number 7 is always believe that your provider is universe. Your provider is the source. The leaders of HGI, whether it's Hubert or Aki or Raghu or Kishore or RMDs, all of those leaders, They are all channels. And you should always, always, always be grateful to your channels, but always know that it has come from the source. Source is universe, source is nature. So if you believe that source has already decided to give you what you deserve and what you're working towards, channels will be used to mobilize that vision. Thank your channels and trust the source. The reason why I'm saying that is because the source is perennial, source is permanent. Channels may keep changing. Don't blame the channels, thank them. Always be grateful, but believe and trust that source is actually what is providing you with the opportunities, the knowledge, the insights, the resources. I did not know Kishore Garu a couple years ago. I did not know Raghu a month ago. But you know, it is somewhere our collective visualization and prayer that you are here, I am here, this session is happening. Because source wanted it. It's my personal vision to help millions of families around the world. It is Raghu's and Kishore's and other leaders' vision and their thought that something like this should happen for everyone. See, nature brings all of us together. So I'm thankful to all the leaders here, but I always trust the source that whenever there is a need for something to be accomplished, manifested, fulfilled, nature will find its way. So trust the source. Expect from source, right? Create a symbol for your success, like a Nike for timeliness or victory symbol. Look at that. Feed that in your visualization. Put that as part of your active imagination. Give thanks already and feel happy that it's done. And as part of your visualization, imagine mountains and flying birds as part of your imagination, somewhere in the background, to feel that sense of assurance that it's done. Include some of these elements, the timeline, the way the details are manifesting, the trust in the source, the mountains and the flying birds, and some kind of symbolism, all of these things together. So the 7 rules of knowing that everything is created in the world twice, doing it in the alpha state with a lot of clarity in why you want something, burning desire, purity of mind, faith, and trust and belief in the law of nature. With these 10 tools, the principle of mentalism confirms that you can create your desired future with the power of this imagination. That is what I talked about. You can create the blueprint of your life in alignment with your vision. This is the insight. Everything in the world is created twice. These are the way to do that, along with the physiological, the spiritual, the neurological, the biological things that we learned, the principles that we learned, giving you confidence that you can create your own blueprint, right? For the next 60 days, visualize your desired end result in one or all areas of your life as many times as possible, from morning to night, but at least twice a day, when you wake up and when you're going to sleep, and every opportunity you get between the two. Release the dopamine, release the serotonin, have that purity of mind, be very clear about your intent, follow the 7 rules and 10 tools of imagination. Believe in the law of nature that everything in the world is created twice. First in the mental realm, then in the physical realm. Between the two is a conscious thinking and passionate feeling that you need. Otherwise, it won't manifest, right? So with that, I don't know if I went overboard with time. Oh no, I think we're good. We have 6 minutes. I can stay much longer if you have questions. We will be, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity to serve. I want to thank Raghu, Kishore, and all the leaders that made this happen. And let me ask you this. I hope this was value and I didn't waste your Saturday morning, right? So I hope that, and if I did, I apologize if I wasted your Saturday morning. I will make it up to you the way you want it. So with this, what I'm going to request is we will be sending you a feedback form, and we would love to hear from you how this session helped. What is your greatest learning and insight? What you want to see change in the future sessions, and any of those things that you want, please share that in the feedback form. Mr. Raghu or Mr. Kishore will reach out to you with that feedback form. And all of you are great trainers and great leaders anyways, right? I've seen some of you do these training sessions for your teams, and I already know that you all are out there already at that level. Just a few more insights that I could share today may probably help you to help your teams a little better. And with that, I'm going to turn it into Mr. Raghu. If you have some thoughts, comments that you want to share now, we can do it now, and I'll let Mr. Raghu decide how he wants to take it from here. All yours, Raghu.
Yeah, thank you, Mohan. I mean, every single second that the last 2.5 hours, it was a great session, and with all these different platforms, I've been hearing all these in bits and pieces. What you did was put everything in one. So much learning. I've been continuously writing notes myself and making sure that I understood the way that you're repeating, and you kind of made sure that you repeated enough times where it doesn't slip away from, because sometimes we listen once and what did he say? And you made sure that it was very composed and not rushed, and you made it very clear how the process works. And I'm sure, as you said, right, we all probably would have heard it from so many different sources, from parents, teachers, motivators, inspirers, YouTube videos, WhatsApps, but probably we didn't understand the psychology or the methodology behind it, and you made it so clear, and how you made it, and we're looking forward for more of it. And I think I have some few questions on the chat. I would like you to take some time, and generally, so you made it very on time, but if you can take some time, just answer those questions, that would help.
I'm here, take as long as you want. I just want to make sure that you have some time for your Saturday morning routine, but I'm happy to answer as many questions.
Sure, I think we can stretch for another 15 maximum, depending on how many questions we have, max 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So let me see what questions we have. I'll try to read them. Yeah. And anybody have any questions, please unmute and ask the questions.
Mohan Garu, this is Raghu. First of all, I need to thank you very much. As Raghu said, we have been going through so many sources, but you put together, everything is put together very nicely. It's a powerful session. Just one question, because maybe I'm thinking what I understood about it. On the 7 rules of that, the 5th rule, purity of the mind. What is the importance of that?
Yes, so purity of mind is extremely important, because if your intent is to help people experience the qualities what nature intended humankind to experience, which is love, peace, abundance, prosperity, collaboration, empathy. If this is what nature intends for all of us to have in our life, express in our life, help others realize, experience, and express. If you do that with that purity, nature will support. If you're going to do it in a way where, I don't care what comes into people's life, I want my abundance and be done with it, then it's not purity of mind. Then it is not in alignment with how nature wants us to live our life. That is why it is extremely important to have that purity of mind. Did that answer your question, Raghu Garu?
Yeah, I understood it, but some people may think about it. If I want to achieve my goal, if I want to achieve whatever I need, okay, I know all these things. Okay, 1 to 7, it's good. Everything is fine. But people think, why? What is the importance of the purity? Okay, without that purity of the mind is not going to achievable.
It will achieve, but it will not stay. It will not sustain. Because what will happen is you'll make that sale, you'll get your referral bonus, you'll probably move on doing it. But after a while, that lack of purity is going to make sure that there's going to be obstacles along the way. It's not going to sustain, is what I'm saying. It's not going to sustain. You will experience it, but it's not going to sustain. If there is alignment in your actions and your intent with how nature intends us to help each other, to be a channel for each other's growth and prosperity and good health, then it will not only get started, not only get propelled, it will sustain. That's why purity of mind, sustainability. You don't want to be in a place where you are successful the first year, and after that, people don't look up to you with the same respect trust your integrity and your honesty and in your intent. Right? The purity of mind is very important for sustainability. Does that make sense, Raghu?
Yeah. Thank you very much for that clarity. Okay, thank you.
Mohan, this is Ram here. I have a quick question.
Okay.
Mohan Garu, the sticking to that one goal in your mind and attaching it to your mind in the morning and evening, at least a couple times, as you said, or multiple times throughout the day, how long does it take for that to manifest? Obviously, that's probably more subjective, but importantly, can it be very unrealistic where you cannot even see that you're not equipped with all the capabilities to achieve that goal, but still it will manifest if you stick on to it?
Great question, Ram Garu. Neurologically, scientifically, it's proven that, that any new neural pathway to form should take anywhere between 21 to 66 days. Some programming, some conditioning is so deep-rooted that it takes much longer for us to erase our old patterns in the subconscious mind and in your brain's neural pathways, that it cannot happen in 21 days. It has to be done consistently with that neuroplasticity for 66 days at least, so that new neural pathways will trigger new behaviors, new thinking, new perspectives. That's the first part of your question. Second, you have to always have common sense. Whatever is not physically possible, biologically possible, you cannot visualize those. Right? You cannot grow wings. You cannot, have 10 hands. You cannot transcend seas in seconds. Right? So be very realistic. Be very use common sense and approach it with reason. And the combination of understanding the neuroscience behind changing habits with common sense and reasonability will certainly work. Did that answer your question, Mr. Ram?
It did, Mohan. Thank you so much.
Mohan, Vikram
Ram,
here.
hello.
Hey, Mohan, this is Vikram Koluru here. Instead of saying the session was mind-blowing, I should say it was mind-settling. It was a very good session. I got a lot of value out of it. I do want to ask you something. When we want to put out that seed or the ambition or goal in our mind and move on with it, there are multiple ways we could end up moving towards it. Some could be the right path, some could be the wrong paths. What would you advise while we are on the journey towards the goal? What do you advise us to do to ensure that we are on the right path towards where we are going?
Excellent question. Thank you, Vikram, for asking that. The nature has given us world's greatest feedback system. The world's greatest feedback system is your feelings. If you get good feelings about what you are doing or what you want to do, what you're about to do, then that's a good enough indication that nature, you're in alignment with nature's expectations of you. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel doubtful, if you feel even the slightest of discomfort in what you're doing, what you're about to do, it could be either because you don't know it enough, you don't understand it enough, you don't believe in it enough, not always the intent. It could also be that you don't know enough about it to feel a certain way. So attain that clarity, attain that knowledge, test it out, see again what your intent is, what you're about to do. Is this the right path? Ask for guidance from nature through prayers, through guidance from those who have already been on that journey. But always believe that feelings are the world's greatest feedback system, and you will know if you're on the right path or not. You will feel lighter inside if you're doing it with clarity, with the right intent, and with the why being very clear and impersonal. And you will always feel very uncomfortable talking to someone, approaching someone, if deep inside you don't believe in it yourself, you don't have the clarity, you don't understand how things, the thought roles work. So test your activity or task or plan or goal with these parameters and check with your feelings, and you will be guided, Vikram.
Thank you, Mohan.
Mohan Garu.
Mohan, this is Sunil here. What if you have like 3 goals which are like really high priority in your life? How to apply or do we have to really prioritize only one and then go to second, or can we have 2 or 3 and we try to achieve those?
Yeah,
Because,
like I said,
when you have multiple goals, I understand, but it's high priority. What are you supposed to do?
yeah. So if that's the case, and it's reasonable for you to physiologically do it with enough time and resources, and the desire, the burning desire, the clarity of intent. See, my desire was also to write, hundreds of books and then use that as a medium to propagate a lot of this knowledge and wisdom. But I feel like if I'm out there talking to people, doing these webinars and doing a lot more of these interactive sessions all over the world or online, then I feel far more purposeful, although I love writing, reading books. In terms of prioritization, both of them align to my vision, but I choose to do this because of the energy I feel when I'm interacting live like this, or in especially with kids. I love the energy and the passion when I'm working with youth and kids. I travel around the world just to be in a room with 40, 50 kids because that's what I love. That's my number one priority. So I kind of prioritize within my priorities to see what is reasonable, what is feasible, what gives me the highest sense of purpose. So to answer your question, if you can manage both your priorities with the time you have, go for it.
Mohan Garu, this is Pratik. Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Mohan Garu, thank you very much for the information, and it is really powerful. I have a question regarding the imagining in the alpha state for a greater impact. So you have described in detail about different states of mind, right? Beta, theta, delta, and samadhi. That's you preferred alpha state. So I need a little bit clarity on how to be or what is this, how to be in the state or when you are imagining, because you cannot control which state of mind probably. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that alpha state?
Absolutely. So yes, you can control, you can change from the beta state to alpha to theta and to delta. Like I said, I do a separate 3-hour session in which I teach step by step, how do you reach to that point where you are 100% aware of your thoughts, and then do not let the thoughts wander you away, and you become deep rooted in that emptiness, that space, and reach the delta or the theta state and operate from there all the time. So there is a very detailed process, a separate training called Take Charge of Your Mind. We had done that recently when Kishore Garu organized it. About 400 people attended it. I would strongly recommend that you learn that step-by-step process, so it becomes an experiential understanding and something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. So to answer your question, it is absolutely possible. And once you are there, then everything that you do will come from that theta or delta state, or at least the alpha state. You will replace the beta state with alpha state as your permanent state, where you're not churning the thoughts, you're not chasing the thoughts, you're not wandering with the thought. You're here in the moment and operating from there with clarity. So we will see if we can organize that in the future, and please try and attend that. It will certainly give you a lot more clarity. Right?
Thank you very much. That will be very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Mohan Garu. This is Raj Mohan Garu.
The Mohan Garu, this is Raj Vipuri. 6-1 faith, release of the dopamine and serotonin. That is the catalyst, seems like it, in the entire thing.
Exactly right.
Like, how can we get it? Consistently, undivided faith. And how can we get the dopamine released consistently so that the other 7 things consistently working? It seems like this is the one which is making the energy. Energy is the one, that is the one. And the other things are rolling in that flow. How can we do that consistently? How can we think that that's enough energy for me to go to the next level?
So like Mohan Garu, I just want to add one more thing to that question. So like not only from us, but when we're talking to somebody about anything, how to incite that dopamine, I mean, like, get the dopamine level in that person whom we are talking to so that we can get the desired outcome.
So you cannot control the dopamine and serotonin level of others, but you can certainly influence the response you get from them based on how you release your own dopamine and serotonin with clarity in thought, right? So I'll answer Mr. Raj's question earlier. How can you get there, right? Now it's a process. Like I said, our mind and our brain has been conditioned and programmed with the past programming and conditioning. You have to break that. You have to shift from that and create new patterns. Now, here is how you do it. Act as if is a very, very powerful technique. From now on until the next 60 days, every single parent, every single person attending this webinar, please do this. If your kid spills milk or doesn't clean up his or her room, doesn't listen to what you want him or her to do, if your coworker or boss does something against your at that moment, if you feel angry, if you feel upset, if you are like really, really cranky and grumpy, take 20 seconds and decide that I'm going to react the way I feel now, but not now, maybe 30 seconds later. But in that 30 seconds, you're going to do exactly opposite of what you were about to respond. Act as if nothing happened, and you go hug the kid and you thank the colleague that actually did something that made you very, very annoyed. Delayed response, opposite response. Act exactly opposite of how your mind wants to react at that time. Act as if you are the happiest, coolest, calmest person, like a lotus flower. You throw water, you throw mud, it will just let it brush off, it will stay pure. Act as if from morning to evening, do that. Then you're going to break your past neural conditioning pathways and create new ones. With that, you will start to see every day incrementally your dopamine, serotonin, your perspectives, your responses, your behavior, your thinking, your ability to have control over your thought rather than your thought controlling your body. All of these things with small things day to day incrementally. It is a process. It will change. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, that's a very practically you mentioned rather than just what do you call like a message. It's like a prescription. I can say that in a simple way. It's a perfect prescription for me.
Again, thanks, Mohan Garu. Everybody liked the session and it was very informative. This is again Raj, and I just have a question about the number one, knowledge. So something like we cannot envision everything, right? And also that like reality may change. We like vision something, but like something may happen which may be like larger than what we envisioned, or something like lesser, or it could be also an unintended consequence. So at that time, do you like prescribe this as a static document, or it's like a dynamic one in which we have to realign ourselves like every time something like that happens?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. You always have something called a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term goal. Things evolve, things change, our situations, our circumstances, our priorities, all of these change. We need to evolve with those. And but the root, the undercurrent of all of that is that know very clearly what is the aim beyond the aim. So do not be unreasonable. Do not fix a goal without the clarity on why am I doing it. The more clear you are on the why, the less likely you are going to change it. Right? So do things for the short term, have goals for the medium term, have goals for the long term. The long term goals are the ones where you have to have very clear, crystal clear purpose, and those are very less likely to change. In the short and medium term, things may change as your circumstances change. Does that answer your question?
Thanks very much, Mohan Garu. That's why I think they call it KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mohan Garu,
one question.
This is DP Prasad. So just a quick question. This is not elaborative. So is there any way we can secrete dopamine and serotonin by doing any pranayam kind of thing?
So
and can we?
Yeah, so, the pranayama, the yoga nidra, the shavasana, the trataka, the anapan, the anulom vilom, and so many such practices exist. All of those are very helpful, but they are helpful to relax your body and mind. It's called the relaxation process. So there is relaxation, there is concentration, there is contemplation, there is intention, and then there is meditation, right? So depending upon what your intent is at that time, you want to relax your body mind mechanism, then you use pranayama and trataka mantra or shavasana or yoga nidra or tai chi or some zen cone exercise and so forth, right? Reiki and so forth. So depending upon your intent at that time, you can use any of these practices, but I strongly recommend dopamine and serotonin. It can be released through chemicals, through prescription tablets. Don't do that. I'm going to repeat this. To do that, do not do that.
That's why I was very specifically asked, is there any yoga we can secrete more?
Let your goal and the visualization of the realization of that goal be the source of dopamine and serotonin, because it is possible to do that without taking any prescription medication, without putting external chemicals in your body, because the brain has the ability to produce that chemical organically. It just needs a stimulus, a trigger. And that trigger is your active imagination with faith in the end result you have to achieve, the happiness. It's called the happy hormone. Happy hormone is what they call it, motivation and happy hormone, dopamine and serotonin, right? So it allows you to control your mood, your sleep, your learning, your movement, your blood flow, your urine output, and all these other things that gets your body up and gets it going. So don't use any prescription medication. Don't rely on any external act of, because then what you will say is, I don't have time for yoga. I don't have time to do this and that. But you always have time to actively visualize your vision. Then you won't have excuse, and you have a very short and natural organic way of releasing dopamine and serotonin. Do it this way, I would recommend.
I wanted to first of all thank you for such a great session, especially after the ocean visualization point onwards. It was like completely transforming the morning of Saturday morning into something else. Thank you for that. That's one. The question I have is, say our life is going on in certain way, and there is one goal that you're talking about or thinking about in the next level of comfortness. And how do you intensify that goal to the level that we want to manifest itself into a level? I know you talked about all the steps, but again, how do you increase the intensity on a day-to-day basis, especially with a lot of negative thoughts like fear of failure and those kind of stuff?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. Imagine, you have a child and you love your child the most. Every parent loves their children the most in this entire world, more than anything else. And the child needs attention because of some condition, medical, physical condition. And the child cannot experience the goodness of life or even carry on with the day-to-day activities without your help, active help. Now, in that case, you have so many other things you have to take care of, the work-related thing, the other chores at home, the social obligations, and so on and so forth, and all that. In spite of doing all those things, will you always feel very intensified, to use your word, intensified in your heart, to always make sure that your child gets everything that he or she needs to live a comfortable life now and in the years to come? It all boils down to how passionate, how clear, how at a feeling level you are tied and connected to the result that you want. So if you love your child as much as you do you love the goal, the vision, the intention you have? If that's the case, everything will sort itself out. You will learn to prioritize, you'll find ways, you'll train yourself to balance everything and keep your feelings intensified towards that end goal. That answer your question?
Absolutely amazing answer, Mohan. Thank you.
Mohan, this is Ram again, but I would like Raghu to go first. He has been trying to ask, and then I have a question. Raghu, you were asking.
So one question was, why do we lose this traction in implementing the thought into actions? Where do we lose it? And how can we avoid losing these tractions?
So piggy riding on the previous example that I just said, the moment you stop loving your child that you love so much, then you will lose traction. So when you are setting that goal, if you don't have the clarity of why you want to achieve that goal, then you will lose traction. So the clarity of the intent is extremely important to stay always intensified and consistent and active, because it's the intention that brings the result, not the actions alone. You see that actions bring results, right? People are taking 20 meetings, traveling, and doing all those things. You see their actions. Oh my God, he's working so hard. He's like, I know Kishore, he works like, I think, 17, 18, 19 hours. You'll always see him helping someone, talking to someone, guiding someone, motivating someone, getting away in the morning, following a consistent routine, always available. He'll always tell you if he can't do it now, he'll do it later. He's very consistent. He's very active, right? So, because the vision is clear, right? So if you do that,
got it. Bottom line, the intention has to be there. The intention to get what you wanted is the clarity in that intention should be. Clarity and intention is the key. And that drives the other stuff, the actions or whatever that follow. Thank you.
The
Mohan,
intent is the driving force, Raghu.
I have a follow-up on that one. So Mohan, the thing which I struggle with is we, knowingly or unknowingly, we are doing things to fulfill our own selfish desires. So this purity of mind that we talked about, in terms of that, should we become altruistic in our approach? And in the process, as a byproduct, our desires also will get fulfilled. Is that what we're saying here?
No, absolutely not. A lot of people ask me this, oh yeah, you are out there in a preaching mode now, going all over the world, doing these free sessions, because you already made all the money you needed in your life, all these years living in America and other parts of the world. So you are now risk-free, you have nothing to lose, right? So you're going to be very utopian, altruistic approach and so forth. So I tell those people, you don't look at where I am and make decisions based on that. I will never, ever allow or encourage anyone to quit everything they have in their life and follow their heart's calling, no matter how good it is, no matter how pure it is. First, make sure that your own life is risk-free. The dependents that trust you to provide for them, you never put their life at risk. Fulfill all your obligations, your goals, your dreams, financial, social, mental, because only those people can help the world who do not need any help. First, help yourself. First, help yourself. Those that are independent of any help are the only ones that can help the rest of the world. So please make sure you just don't get this rush of excitement and say, to hell with everything else, I'm just going to go follow my heart's calling. But make sure that nobody behind you suffers because of that. Right? So don't be altruistic, be reasonable, be practical, balance, have a balance between pragmatism and passion. That's what I did. That's what I would recommend. All right. Does that answer your question?
It almost answers, but how does the purity of mind come into that?
The purity of mind is again the intent. Sometimes you have the great intent of helping the world. Keep that intent. It right now may not be the time because you have other obligations. But unless you have that intent, that purity of mind, you will never go to that desired state few years down the line when you're financially risk-free. That's where purity of mind keeps that as an undercurrent all the time, even if you're not able to realize that vision right now. The undercurrent of purity of mind will take you there where nature will actually accelerate the process of freeing you up from your worldly obligations so that you can do the impersonal work. That's where purity of mind will help. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thanks, Mohan.
Thank you, Mohan Garu. This is Ram Panchamarthi. I have a question. Thank you for what you have explained and what you have shared your experience and all these things, and it helps great. My question to you is, how do we remove the old pattern subconscious programs, and how do we rewire the new new success, like you explained, right? New neural pathways. How do we do that?
Yeah, so again, that 3-hour session that I do, it's a very, very methodical step-by-step process where you identify your past tendencies, the reasons why they were formed, and then create new tendencies and the process of how to do that. I would strongly recommend that you attend that when I do it next, so that I can answer that in a couple of sentences, but it won't mean anything because you won't be able to do anything with it now. So attend that session and walk away with that blueprint on how do I do that every day, integrate it in my life, erase my past tendencies, replace it with the new tendencies to move towards the desired goals. So I apologize, I cannot go into the details because of lack of time, but certainly the answer to your question is it is possible and there's a way to do it.
Thank you. Okay, I think thank you so much, Mohan. This is a great session. Actually, it is an eye opener. And if anybody has one, we can give one more question. If anybody is waiting, I don't know if we covered everybody.
Yeah,
only maximum 2 questions, please, because we have to wrap it up. Hard sharp at 11:30.
Yeah, so
only one question, I guess.
Before the question is asked, here is a humble request I have to make of all of you. That if that feedback form that will come to you, do not assume it to be a form where I'm trying to garner your accolades, and I believe that you all got great value, and I can see it in your in your voices, in your smiles, and all that. I don't need any more accolades or any of your appreciation, but please still fill out the form so that it kind of keeps my team and me encouraged and motivated to know how we are making a difference, what changes. What shifts in your paradigms we have made today, and if there are other things that you want for me to include in this session, make it a 2.5-hour session, whatever it may be, do that, and also use that form to ask all your questions. Do not assume that, okay, now I have understood this, let me interpret that and ask, and try to follow. So ask your questions, share your, please do that when you feedback form. That's my humble request. I am not asking for money. I'm not asking for you to sign up for anything. Just share your thoughts very, very candidly is what I'm saying. So, okay, this is the question.
So Mohan, this is Deepak. Have you ever been demotivated in your life at any point of time? And how did you get out of it?
Oh yeah, I worked in corporate America with brown skin. And I raised myself into the ranks to be working very closely with C-level executives. And you know what that does to other white-skinned folks around me. And I've had, all of us immigrants have to prove ourselves 4 times more and work hard 10 times more, even if we are really good at things because of the social circumstances and things like that. So I've been motivated, I've been discouraged, I have been frustrated, I have been angered, but I've always shifted from there within seconds to go back deep inside and operate from there rather than responding to the mind's conditioning or mind's agony at that moment. So there is a way to quickly shift. And here is one thing. Until your dying moment, you will always have moments where you will have triggers for anger and jealousy and hatred and insecurity and fear and stress and all of those things. That is not going to stop. Until your dying moment, you will be surrounded in your environment, circumstances, social situations, people that you interact with, relationships. The key is, in spite of all that, what do we do to shift from responding in a cranky, grumpy, frustrated way to still feeling very calm, comfortable inside? And that's possible. That state of stabilization is possible. So to answer your question, I felt demotivated, angered, frustrated, but only for a few seconds. And then I move on and focus on the vision, what I can do. Whatever best I can do, I will focus on doing that and move on.
And what was your reaction the moment before you shifted to again being positive?
Anger, frustration.
So do you show that with your action? Like
no, I don't. That is the shift. You use, see, here is the thing. All these different emotions of anger, frustration, insecurities, jealousies, hatreds are only a mirror to show you what dirt you're carrying inside. So I thank them. I thank them to continuously help me remove that dirt, because unless otherwise I wouldn't know that it still exists in me. So I thank them, and that moment I make a shift. I choose to shift my attention to the qualities of consciousness, love, empathy, joy, peace, abundance, prosperity. There is so much more that is available out there to experience. Why should I waste my energy in experiencing the negative traits, which are not the traits of nature or universe or consciousness? I use those as springboards to shift from the cleaning the dirt inside to moving to experiencing the abundance of nature, and express through my actions, through my words, I express those qualities. And it's possible.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's amazing, Mohan. It was just revealing. Basically, we hear so many things in life, and you are bringing up, like, from childhood to the adulthood. We hear from parents, we hear from gurus, we read the books. You are basically summarized, in my opinion, the entire my life's lessons. You pretty much summarized in one spot. I don't want to talk because I want to give others to others to ask the questions, because I'm writing down because I don't want to ask and waste the time, right? It's really amazing, and we really thank you for taking this time, and thank you, Kishore and Raghu, for arranging this great session. And as you said, my kids came to the Wave Global session last year, and I could see the value in what they came out, the positiveness and the excitement, the enthusiasm. So please do continue what you are doing. This is a higher calling than, in my opinion, what we are doing. We are doing on one side. You are doing on totally on the other side, where we are trying to change lives in our own ways. So thank you for what you do.
You're very welcome. The vision is to work with the leaders and make it across the board available to millions of people through the platform that we already have. All of you are tied to this platform with a very pure and nice impersonal vision. We'll use that platform to bring this additional insights into the lives and thinking of the leaders, so we can then percolate it down to the business partners, to all the people and the lives that we touch. So we'll work with the leadership team on seeing how to do that. But I'll talk to Raghu and others. I thank everyone, and then I'll let Raghu conclude. And maybe Kishore, if he's around, would love to hear from him as well, a couple of sentences, and then we'll have Raghu wrap it up.
So Kishore, you there?
Yeah. Raghu Garu, can I add one sentence?
Sure.
Gopal here. Like when Mohan Garu talking about the dirt we carry and don't react and all that stuff, right? Like recently, we attended Bhagavan Garu's meditation. That's what we learned. Like it's like a holistic approach, Mohan Garu, you brought up today in 2 hours. I know I'm very excited to see the 3-hour session or whatever you're going to carry or teach us like later and practice that. So it's pretty great session, and I'm really like happy to be part of this group and listening and learning these life lessons where we can use at our work, at our every minute of our life. Thank you, Raghu Garu and Mohan Garu, and as well as Kishore. Thank you. Appreciate your time and efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopal. Kishore, do you want to make a quick statement?
Sure, Raghu. Yeah.
Your voice is low.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Mohan Garu. I know definitely I can see hundreds and hundreds of messages in all the groups. So yeah, it gave a lot of value to each of our lives. So this 2 hours is one of the best 2 hours we spent. So thanks again for what you're doing, and let's continue to do it and create that awareness of mindfulness to each and every of our business partners or entire our community. Thank you, Raghu, for coordinating and immediately doing it.
Sure. Thank you, Kishore. First of all, thank you, Kishore, for bringing this to my attention, because I think you posted in the WhatsApp group in ours, and I looked it for a second, and it went out of my mind. Then Santosh reminded me multiple times, hey, respond to Kishore, respond to Kishore. Then I called Santosh, and then I called you. Then we both talked to Mohan. Basically, things have to happen. See, if Santosh did not probably followed up, that WhatsApp message that Kishore sent would have been lost. We don't know. And everything in this business, as you said, happens for a reason. The nature is already, kind of helping us do that. And thanks, Mohan, for doing this. I think I got a lot of messages already. Looking forward for the next session. So I'll talk to you separately on that. What are the next steps of action? And I was even telling my wife, who was sitting next to me, that even I told you last time when we talked, every session that you're doing, I want to be part of it. It's a paid session, unpaid session, doesn't matter. Right? I'm willing to pay for whatever is required, because I realized knowledge is something that we have to pay for it, and we have to get for it. So I'm all for it. Looking forward for many of these sessions, and you have a great presentation style and a great articulation, because that is where most of the time, I tell in a lot of my trainings, when I started my training, I was looking like this. I could see my old videos 2 years ago, and where I am also changing. But I can see that the way you articulated that, you also taught a lot of things in that session. So great session. And I think the mission that you're going on, where you're trying to change the world, is going to happen. And we are all a platform, we are all a channel. And one thing that I if I have to summarize in this session, is being the channel that you want to be. Being the channel, that is a key. And I think most people understood it. I think now it's time for us to how to do that, implement that with the right intention and right visualization. Thank you so much, and everything that you do. And great to be part of this. And without this business, I don't think I don't know if I would have met you. But thanks for everybody. Kishore especially. You kind of having that thought that bringing all this together. And Mohan and your team. I don't know. You work with the team. Everybody. We are not seeing your team, but thanks for all your team who are putting this together behind the scenes.
Yeah, Raghu, just one feedback, and this is Surinder. Thank you very much, Mohan Garu. Very nice presentation, which will be very useful to everyone, and not only for the business prospects, so other way also. At the same time, thanks Raghu Garu for the bringing such a nice person and to have the good knowledge about the life and all those things. And more, I'm expecting you to, Raghu Garu, to have the recording sessions. Why? Because some of the people just like me, I could not able to concentrate 100% here since I am working now. So I'm expecting to have some recording sessions, please. Yeah, thank you, Mohan Garu, again. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Surinder Garu. So I'm just going to wrap it up real quick. So two things. One, the wisdom that we received today, I am only a carrier, a catalyst, a medium. Everything that I shared with you has come from my master, and my life's mission is to propagate his vision of creating a highly evolved community. I got everything from him free, because as he said, you cannot put a price tag to something that's priceless. This wisdom is priceless. So going forward, any session I do, I will never ever charge a penny for these sessions, and there are hundreds of such sessions that we can offer. And second thing, what you experienced today is only the tip of an iceberg. The real depth is in all the other things that my guru has given me that transformed my life. And my vision is to give that entire package, which helps you realize the purpose of why we are here. I want to bring that to the community, millions of people around the world. So what you have seen and experienced today is only the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of greater depth and clarity and abundance of everything that will come in the future. And I'll work with Raghu Garu and other leaders to see how we can do that. All right. So with all that, I sincerely thank giving me the opportunity to realize my vision and help me experience my sense of purpose. Thank you so much.
Mohan Garu, is there a way to